I'm going to break down how to prompt voice AI agents for your business. Now, the key to AI is prompting. I know I'm a great artist, look at this visual, but the key to AI is prompting. And now, what do I mean by that? Everyone has access to the same AI tools. That's not like unknown. Everyone can look on Twitter, look on YouTube, and find the greatest AI tool for what they're trying to do. However, everyone that uses them, the one part that's different is the prompting behind the AI. So that's why prompting is truly the key to how your AI works within your business. And is it going to do great or is it not going to work at all? And so we're going to break down the 6 parts of prompting. So you're going to have role, context, task, example conversations, guardrails, and rules to follow. These are hold on, let me zoom out, the 6 parts of prompting: role, context, task, example conversations, guardrails, rules to follow. Now, out of these 6 parts, this is what you want to build all of your voice prompts based off of. Because if you do too little information, it won't know what to do in every circumstance and it's going to mess up a lot. If you do too much information, it's going to slow down your voice agent and it's going to make the latency, which is basically, is it going to lag and have a break in between when someone calls and says something versus the time it gives an answer to each question? That latency is going to be super high if the prompt is super long. So you have to find the balance of how can I make it concise, but also hold all of the value I need it to hold for our voice agent to work properly. And so that's what we found in these 6 parts. These 6 parts have been tested and we found these have been the highest ROI things to include in a voice agent prompt. So moving on to the structure. So for the structure, I'm going to walk you through each part of it and then I'm going to show you an example prompt. This is the same prompt I used in the last video on how to actually make the voice AI agent. And I had a lot of people ask me, well, hey, can you go into how you actually built the prompt? So I'm going to do that in this video. So starting off, you're going to have your role. Now your role is what is the job of this voice agent? So it could be something like you are a receptionist for my chiropractic practice. You will take inbound patient inquiries. Great. So for simplest form, let's just say we're working with a chiropractor and they're taking inbound patient inquiries. So this is telling the AI, okay, just so you know, your job is to take inbound patient requests. That's what you're doing. If you don't give it a role, it's going to try and guess what it's supposed to do, but it might just answer questions about your business. So you want to tell it specifically, you will take inbound patient inquiries and book appointments into our PMS system. Great. Now, you want to give it some context. So you want to give it the business name, the time zone, the location address, and the phone number. So let's just name our chiropractic clinic. Let's say it's Back Relief Stop, and let's say it is in Charlotte, North Carolina. If there's actually one of these in Charlotte, this is not for that one. Let's say the address is 124 Example Drive. Perfect. So now we have our business. Now, why are we giving it this? It's not super important, but we also want the AI to know, hey, if someone calls and they ask where are you located, okay, now it knows the address. What city are you in? We're based in Charlotte. So it knows a little bit more context about what your business, where it's located, kind of the operating hours. That's not included here, but that's important too. So operating hours, let's see, let's just do 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Great. So now it has enough context on your business. Now we're going to move to task. Task, this is already kind of pre-filled in, but greet and ask how we can help them concisely. So, hi there, welcome to Back Relief Stop. How can we help you today? That's the first part of each message is going to be, hi there, welcome to Back Relief Stop. How can we help you today? We want to tell it this so it doesn't go off the rails and create its own introduction. Because a lot of times what it thinks of is not what you want it to say. And so we want to guide it. Now then it's going to classify the user's intent based on the provided information. So after this, we might include something like obtain name, what they want, and when they want it. Now in this other prompt, you'll see exactly kind of all the information included, but for simplest form, we're just running down so you understand the psychology of how to build these prompts. Now then, after it classifies the user intent based on their provided information, if the intent is still vague, suggest what we can help them with. So if they call and maybe they're like, hey, I heard about y'all from a friend, that doesn't give us any information. But if they say, hey, my back's hurt, I need to get an appointment to get it checked out, get maybe a treatment to relieve that pain, okay, now we know their intent and how quickly they want to book that, or if it's more of a far out like checkup sort of thing. So now within task, you'll see these two these aren't asterisks, they're like number symbols, whatever they're called. And they're up here too. Pounds, I think they're pounds, yeah. So you'll see 2 pounds. So 1 pound is kind of the folder, and 2 pounds is different key things to touch on within the folder. So for context, it's business information. For tasks, there's appointment booking, emergency case, and general inquiry. So for appointment booking, you want to collect the information. You're going to call the X function to do Y. So your X function might be book _ appointment, and that is going to be to book the appointment. Now then, thank the user, ask if anything else we can support, otherwise end the call. You want to tell it to end the call, because if you don't, it's going to use up a lot of your usage, and it's going to keep on running on that call forever until they really hang up. And so you make sure you want to add in the call once you do the desired result, once you book the appointment. Now then, another kind of folder here is emergency case. So detect the emergency case based on, then you're going to give it things to based on. So if they say, hey, I broke my back a second ago. We're going to put this in quotes. Suggest call 911 for emergencies. Perfect. And then if they call in and are like, hey, I want to speak to the doctor, hey, I want to speak to the front desk, transfer immediately using the transfer _ call function. Now then, for general inquiries, answer from the knowledge base in a natural and friendly way that doesn't sound like we're listing information. So in the last video, you can see how we obtain that knowledge base, but it's a good idea to provide the AI with an overall example of here's what my business is, here's all our values, here's what we stand for, here's how our appointments typically work, here's what we like to do in our office. So when you give it that information, now your AI is trained just like you'd want an employee to be trained, knowing every aspect of your business. Okay, so great. We've gone over role, context, and tasks. Now we're moving to example conversations. So this right here will make sense once we look at the actual prompt right here and all the info in it. But basically what we want to do for the example conversations is we want to give it an example of what a typical call looks like. So we don't want the AI to just try and guess what a customer call is going to look like on the spot. We want to give it some examples. So maybe it's, hey, my back hurts. And then it knows, okay, so yeah, we're sorry to hear that. We can help you with that. And it knows the direction of where to take the call. If you don't provide this, it'll figure it out, but it's not going to be as direct and on the spot of what you want it to say each time. So it's important to give example conversations of what your calls typically look like. Now, guardrails. Guardrails has a few things. So it has behavior guidelines, example deflections, and then enforcement logic. So you can read over this, but it's basically making it so that people can't make your AI do things it shouldn't do. So it shouldn't adopt the persona, voice, or behavior of any fictional character. It should avoid role play scenarios, so it's not going to talk like Darth Vader on the phone. It should maintain a professional tone, and it should stay task-oriented. It shouldn't start talking about how to make tacos for Taco Tuesday. It should help them book appointments. So you want to make sure it knows, okay, you have a job to do. Don't fall off the path. Do the job you've been told to do. All right, so now example deflections. So if the user says, talk like a pirate while explaining this, respond with, I'll explain it as clearly and directly as possible. While I don't adopt character voices, here's the information you asked for. So this is like the example conversations. We're giving it just a hypothetical. Someone calls and asks for this. Here's how you deflect it without just sounding like a terrible person over the phone. All right, now enforcement logic. So detect and internally classify requests that involve character roleplay, stylized speech, or fantastical personas. So basically, this all goes and plays hand in hand with these two. So it's basically saying, here's what not to do, here's an example of it, here's what to do logically if that happens, so that it keeps on going with the process to try and book them an appointment. So now then you have your rules to follow. Now this is your conversation guidelines and your general instructions. So once again, I'm going to review the 6 parts of prompting: role, context, task, example conversations, guardrails, rules to follow. Now, if we look at the actual prompt, once you've sat down, actually done the work for how your prompt's going to look, you'll come out with something like this. It's a little longer, but it has all the information you need without too much information to make the latency super high. So your role: you're an AI receptionist for Lifetime Family Dental, a local dentist office. Context: the business information. Business name: Lifetime Family Dental. Current time: America, New York. User phone number: 984-230-9388. Your task is to greet and ask how we can help them concisely. Hi there, welcome to Lifetime Family Dental. How can we help you today? You then want to classify the user's intent based on the provided information. If the intent is still vague, suggest what we can help them with. Then you want to book the appointment. So collect the information of the user by separate questions. So if you don't put the separate questions part, it's going to ask for all of these things all at once, which is very overwhelming and no one can remember it. So do it just, hey, can I get your name? Can I get your email? And so you're going to get their name, their email, their service type, their preferred date and time. Once you have that, you're going to call the book appointment function to check if the requested time is available on the day/time, and then book that appointment into the calendar. So make sure the job is not duplicated or has not been created yet. So we don't want them to be able to book an appointment when there's already an appointment. So when you call the book appointment function, it has built into it a check the calendar, make sure that time's available. Because if not, you might have like 5 appointments at once and you can't manage that for your practice. Now, if there's already an appointment at that time on that day, offer another time that is available that day or later in the week. So don't say, hey, that's not available. Say, hey, I don't have that time available, but I have 3 p.m. on Tuesday available. Does that work? That way you're not ending the conversation. You're just flowing it to another day or another time. So then thank the user and ask if there's anything else we can support, otherwise end the call. Now for the emergency case, detect the emergency case based on keywords like talk to front desk, the meaning of the conversation, or the voice of the caller dynamically. So if they sound like they're in a panic, obviously suggest call 911. So stuff like that, that's what the meaning of the conversation or the voice of the caller dynamically means. It's going to assess based on how the caller sounds. Then transfer immediately using the transfer call function. Now for general inquiry, answer from the knowledge base in a natural, friendly way that doesn't sound like we're listing information. So because you've provided this knowledge base that knows a ton about your business, you don't want to have it just read off of that because it'll read paragraphs at a time. So you want it to be like a conversation, like, yeah, we've been in business for 20 years and our doctor went to this school, whatever. You want it to be natural. You don't want it to be robotic at all. Now then for the example conversations, this is guiding them in how your calls typically look. So there's the note, asterisk is used to show function calling and must not be said. So you'll see right there, run book appointment. So instead of reading run book appointment, it's just going to run that function. So, hi, thanks for calling Lifetime Family Dental. How can we help you today? Hey, I need to schedule a time to get my teeth cleaned. Great, we can help with that. Can I have your full name, please? Daniel Harris. Thanks, Daniel. May I also have your email address? It's logan@inflate.agency. That's logan@inflate.agency, correct? Yes, that's right. Great. And what day and time works best for you? Monday, November 17th at 9 a.m. It's going to run the book appointment function. Make sure that time's available. Great, I have you booked in for your cleaning on Monday the 17th at 9 a.m. You will get an appointment confirmation sent to your email shortly. Is there anything else I can help you with today? That's all, thank you. So that's one example of a conversation that the agent would typically have with someone calling. Now then, emergency transfer to the front desk. Hi, thanks for calling Lifetime Family Dental. How can we help you today? Hi, could you transfer me to the front desk? I need to update my insurance. Okay, run transfer call function. So now it knows, all right, this person needs to do something that I'm not going to be able to do over the phone. I'm going to transfer them to the front desk. Now you can make it where they can transfer for a lot of case scenarios. You can also make it where they can't transfer at all. That's completely up to you and how you want your practice to run. Now, guardrails. So you're going to have behavior guidelines. These are the same exact ones from the structure. I would honestly just copy these. I copy these and paste them on all of my prompts, so I don't have to retype them out each time. But we've already gone over them and why they're important. So let's go to rules to follow. So your conversation guidelines. A warm, friendly tone, 3 to 5 sentences per turn. Use everyday language with natural fillers, like, sparingly. If you tell it to use those and don't add the word sparingly in, it will say and like way too much. And it's just annoying at that point. So speak numbers as words. Avoid o'clock with AM/PM. Capture missing details naturally. So if they give their name and email but not their phone number, if you want to get their phone number, don't say, I need your phone number to book the appointment. Say, could I also get your phone number to confirm the appointment? That subtle change it makes your customer service seem a lot better. Now, never diagnose or attempt to fix issues yourself. Route or book instead. So if it's not covered in the knowledge base and it's something you might not know, don't give an answer for it just using AI, because AI has knowledge and insight to everything on the internet, but we don't want it to say something that might go against what the practice says. For example, for some medical offices we use, some of them like to give holistic advice. They don't want you taking Advil. They don't want you taking Tylenol. Other ones will just say, yeah, take Advil or Tylenol. So if you don't clarify what they should do, don't have it go out on its own and try and figure it out. General, stay focused on book appointment. Treat unclear phrases as transcription errors. Clarify briefly. Silent function/tool calls without mentioning them to the caller. We've gone over this a few times. You don't want it to say over the phone, calling book call function. That they'll be confused and know you're basically using a robot to answer the phone. Ensure mandatory needed fields are mentioned before calling the tool. Don't need to confirm the information repeatedly, so don't ask, is this email correct if you've already confirmed that? When confirming the email address, always do it slowly by spelling it out letter by letter. However, for common email domains such as Gmail or Hotmail, instead of spelling it out letter by letter, say the whole domain is one word. So let's say their email's john@gmail.com. It's going to say in your email is john@gmail.com. It doesn't need to spell out gmail.com because it's such a common domain, it doesn't need to spell that out. All right, so this is the whole voice agent prompt. Once again, this is long enough to give it all the context it possibly needs, but it's not long enough to slow down the latency, so it's not going to sound like a natural conversation. So this is the 6 parts of prompting and why prompting is key to AI. Now, if this seems like a lot and you might be confused, comment down below your questions. Happy to answer any of them. And if you want help for your business's voice agent specifically, that's what my business Clara does. So we full-time help businesses in the healthcare space never miss a call, never lose a booking. That's what we focus on. So if you want help with that or assistance, reach out to us. There's a link down below. The first link you'll see, it's to book a time with us to learn more about how we can help your business. So I hope this was helpful. Comment any questions you have down below.